Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Good Grief. My name is Dr. Christine Malone, and in this podcast, we talk about trauma, tragedy, and survival. In each episode, I will interview someone that has gone through grief in some way, and we will discuss the impact it has had on their life. By sharing these stories, we hope that others won't feel alone should they be going through similar situations. Enjoy. Okay, listeners, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. My guest today is going to talk to us about her situation. She became a widow unexpectedly, and then where her life has gone since then and how she's helping people with the knowledge that she has. So, guest, if you would please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm Michelle Hoffmann, and I am now a relationship coach.
So tell me, well, I know parts of your story, but tell us a little bit. So you met your husband, you got married. I don't, so tell us like how old were you and what was that all going about like with
Okay, this is a really good story. Of course, we all love to share the story of when we were meeting our person, the right person, and that exciting feeling and the falling in love and reliving it by telling it is like a gift. So thank you for the opportunity and, come with me on this journey, of course, because I am somebody who my whole life long observed people and how they interact together. And I was, even as a kid and growing up and seeing relationships and boyfriends and girlfriends, I'm like, how did they get a boyfriend? How did they, find a fiance that someone wanted to marry them? And I was always wondering, when is it my turn? So
Mm-hmm.
it took a little longer than I thought to find my person because through this entire, experience, I was watching what works in relationships and what is out of alignment so that they're explosively and don't work. And even when you think it works and somebody will go deep into a relationship, why didn't it work? Because of
Right.
course, 50% of relationships end up in divorce now. And, there's so many reasons, including our own of dying by suicide or loss or whatever it is. And it's like we make this connection till death do us part, and we think, oh, well, we don't have to think about our mortality.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't thinking about my mortality at the time or his. We met on a cruise at the wrong dinner table, at the wrong dinner seating, and my cousin and his best friend, blah, 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 blah. And, I thought, well, that fella has some really gorgeous blue eyes, but we didn't get a word in edgewise hardly. However, we must have said enough because by the end of dinner, what I learned later is he realized I am the one for him.
Oh,
And it took me a little bit longer, not that much longer. Later that night on the dance floor, we met up again and we were dancing, and he was brazen enough to kiss me on the dance floor. And I did what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. I laughed. And of course, that's not what every man dreams of when he
yeah.
kisses a woman. So he was brave enough to ask, what's so funny? And I was in disbelief. And I said, my life was going down the tracks this way. And now my life is going down the tracks toward you. And that's what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman, right? Wow, it's in his kiss for sure. So that was the beginning. All relationships follow the same cycle from chemistry to casual to committed. And this was definitely, we were in the chemistry phase. So that's how we learned that we both were showing up with intention and we really wanted to learn about one another, and we were seeing what was right about being in a partnership together. And oh my gosh, it's like you can't stop thinking about this person. When your phone rings, you get that dopamine hit going, ah, is my person thinking about me? And, it's so exciting when you can see one another again and you get that oxytocin rush, which drives you to reach out. It's the love hormone, this neurotransmitter that connects you in relationships. So we got together, we moved into the casual phase of a relationship where you can look forward to anticipating what's going to happen next. And in this phase of a relationship, it's like listening to your favorite song. How many times can you hear your favorite song over and over again? Because it
Mm,
is so good and you know what's going to happen next. So, as exciting as that first kiss was, the next kiss, the kiss on the stair, the kiss hello, the kiss goodbye, the kiss in between, it's like, so good. And knowing that we had an idea of what it was going to be like to be in that partnership was really what was so amazing and encouraged us because there were no yellow flags or red light deal breakers. We had a green light go to the connected, committed portion of a relationship, which catapults you forward into chemistry again, because then we were boyfriend and girlfriend. Then we were having shared experiences together. Then we were introducing one another to our families. And he bought a promise ring for me that he presented to me when we introduced our families together. And it was showing intention that we wanted to be engaged. And we had ideas for the future together, and we were making that publicly known. And we got married, and we built a life together, and we built a home together, and we built a family together. And it was perfect until he died. And that left me head of household, sole parent, and you guessed it, single. And
yeah,
there are so many things that happen. There are tertiary losses in addition to losing your partner.
yeah.
You're also, we lose the co-parent. We lose the person who did the stuff that we didn't have to be really good at, like taxes
Yeah.
and yard work or, you know, fixing something, you know? So,
For me, it was killing spiders. I didn't want to kill the spiders, but then I had
oh
suddenly,
my God,
I suddenly had,
that's it.
yeah.
I mean, secret, what is spoiler alert? I am deeply in love again, and kill the bug, someone who would kill the bug was top of list
Hmm.
because that was not something I wanted to grow up an adult into doing on my own.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, yeah. So
So
you go from there, and tell me, how many kids do you have?
I've got two kids,
Two
two
kids. Okay.
kids.
And how old were they when dad died?
Ooh, elementary
Okay.
school.
Little kids. Little kids. That's,
No.
yeah, that's tough. So you go from there to being all these new roles, right? So you're the spider killer, the gardener, the fixer, whatever you got to be. You're all those things, and I've been there. Into where you've become now, where you've got, I know you have your Life Worth Living, Practical and Compassionate Guide to Navigating Widowhood and Soul Parenting. Yeah.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about, I mean, I'm going to guess why you decided to write that book, but just tell me a little bit about, what led to that, and who are you, who's your audience, and then we'll get to the new relationship part here in a minute, but I want to hear a little bit
Sure,
about
sure.
how you help
So
people navigate that whole widowhood and soul parenting thing.
right. So here's what happened. I was curled up in fetal position crying with my head in the pillow. The kids had to get up and go to school, and I would try to do my best to get out of bed to help them, and then back fetal position the other direction. And I just realized a pillow full of tears wasn't serving anyone.
Yeah.
I had to do something. And so I used all of my professional experience, all of my life experience, all of those relationship observations that I had been accumulating through my life. And I came up with a process. And with this process, I moved through grief, although you never go all the way through because I hold his life and all that grief holds
Hmm.
as important to me,
Hmm.
and I treasure what is valuable to me. And that helps me move forward in grief. And that's how I help other people move through grief. So, moving through grief, moving through loss, rebuilding life again in a meaningful way. What are my priorities? What are my values so that I know how I'm going to make decisions? What who do I go to for what? Because I was not as alone as I really thought I was. So I built an advisory board,
Mm.
much like a professional organization may have a board of directors. I built an advisory board for myself because I no longer had my one person to go to kill the bug, help with the taxes, help co-parenting, who's watching the kid. It was like I needed to figure out I can't do all of this myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I built an advisory board. I built a legacy of love, which in part that is this book. I focused on health and self-care. And then I talked about all the relationships, how to achieve peak performance, and how to have fun and diversion. And as I put this together for myself, I realized the kids are going through this too.
Mm-hmm.
So I put them through this process and built the advisory board and the meaningful life legacy for them and how to achieve peak performance, health and fun and diversity. And who are the relationships in your life? Who do you want to bring into your inner circle? And who is okay to allow a little bit further out on what I call your relationship spiral? So here we are rebuilding, we're doing this well. And I'm thinking, well, I need to go find 2 jobs. And a friend of mine went out for a run who I used to go running with, and he had a heart attack and died.
Oh my
And I
God.
thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And as you know, my story and maybe yours, I do know what to do. I can't do nothing. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to his widow and I said, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. And all the mourners in the living room were like, phew, someone who knows what they're doing is taking the lead because we're not taught this sort of thing.
Mm-mm.
We don't even think about mortality. Don't address that until you're 150 years old and you don't even need it then.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, she and I linked arms and I helped her rebuild her life and her kids' lives. And then everyone in my community was like, that was amazing. Can you go help them?
Mm.
Go help them, go help them, go help them. And I'm like, I'm looking for work. I don't have time to help all the people.
Yeah.
And they said, no, this is your work. And I was like, no, that's not work. That's just love. And I said, what I will do is I will write the guide I did not have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wrote this book. And it is a love letter to the widow of my friend, she's now, of course, a friend of mine also. And I've dedicated the book to her. And what I've learned is more than just widows and widowers can benefit from this book of how to rebuild life.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you didn't have someone teach you these things before, how to build life in the first place so that you know at the end of your life that you really lived.
Yeah. That's
So
fantastic. So
that's how I built the book.
yes. And then you've moved even further than that now into this relationship coaching. So tell us a bit about the relationship coaching part.
So, what I was learning as I was so the book did well. It became an international bestseller. People from all over the world were reaching out to me saying, hey, can you help me through it? Well, of course I can help you through it. And so this became, my job, my labor of love. And my mindset is, if I can help people and support my family doing it, then everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was coaching people, I realized that I was saying the same thing over and over again in each session. So whatever the most important thing was that people needed to hear at that developmental stage of widowhood, and there's a process that we go through, just like when we develop from infant to toddler to kid to teenager to young adult to adult, there is a developmental process that we go through. And rather than getting stuck, here's how to keep going through
Mm-hmm.
and to build your life to be what you want it to be and to live your life so fully. So I recorded those things, and this became the Ready to Be Relationship Ready program. In module 5, it's all about relationships. And everyone loved that one more than any other. Because what do you want more than anything else when you've lost love? Is to find love again.
Mm-hmm.
So as I continued on, more than widows and widowers were coming to me saying, yeah, I hear you can help people find the right love in their lives. And I'm like, Well, sure. Yes, I can. This is, but it's just one aspect of it. No, this is your thing. Okay. So it's not like I went to school for this. It's that I've spent my whole life in school. My life has been my school for this.
Right, right.
And other people were coming to me saying, we need your skill set in this arena. And so now that's how I went from being the widow guide to a relationship coach, available to any and everyone, whether you've lost love, if you've gone through a nasty divorce or a divorce of any kind, if you're on the heels of heartbreak, or if you've never figured out how to find your right person in the first place. This Find Love Now program, which includes the Ready to Be Relationship Ready portion of it, helps people reach out and find the right love in their life for right now in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm working on now. And I will always support people through the grief aspect of it, in addition to rebuilding life for yourself and your family and inviting new love in to go from chemistry to casual to committed all over again.
All over again. Now,
Life is better with good love in it.
I'm going to guess I know the answer to this, but I want to hear, there can't be a one size fits all. So, is this work that you're doing, is it kind of like helping people to figure out what works for them, or how really does that process work? I mean, you don't just say, we need to take these vitamins and you need to do this, you need to do that, because again, one size doesn't fit all. So how does that work out?
No, so what I learned is that the process works for everyone. However, if you are so unique and talented and interesting and gorgeous in exactly who you are. And I'm all about knowing your authentic self and representing yourself genuinely as you are, because it's impossibly difficult to hold up being someone who you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can understand, I call it your personal profile of who are you in the world, who do you want to be, and what's the impact that you make in the world? Where do you shine? Then allowing that shine to shine invites the right person who is attracted to genuine, natural you. This has very little to do with me. I've done this for me, for my life. But when I'm working with people, this is about them for their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes this process completely uh, transferable and unique to each person, who so often what I hear is, I don't trust myself in intimate relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to navigate obstacles. I don't know how to advocate for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in reality, these are all communication skills and tools that I teach. So once you've got them, they are a gift for you to use anywhere you want. So if you're heterosexual, if you have different sexual preferences, I've got clients who are handicapped. I've got clients between the ages of 13 and 84 now, because I teach the art of relationshiping at a high school.
Oh, that's great.
They're amazing. So, so satisfying that they're getting this much
Oh
younger
my goodness. Think of
than we did.
the life mistakes they won't make. Oh my gosh.
So really, and my 84-year-old client, I wished her happy birthday. And she said, oh, here's a picture of my boyfriend who took me to Greece for my 84th birthday. Thank you. I may have died without ever knowing what true love feels like.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh, sweet.
So
Gratifying
huge
that has to
grief
be for
for
you.
me.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are two sides of the spectrum. Every
Yeah.
day I get this excitement of, I had lost love and now I didn't even know love could be this good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you pick the right partner who's attracted to who you're attractive to, then this is where the fireworks and the movie moments and poems are written about. That's what we're looking for right there. And
Yeah.
it's so gratifying to know that understanding who you are, and people think, oh, I'm not young enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not socially high up enough in the social hierarchy, I'm not rich enough. That's not true. There is a lid to every pot, they say. And the challenge is knowing who you are and sending the right message out. So who's attracted to you and that message, that frequency that comes back to you, that is who you're looking for. But
Yeah,
if you're willing to date and you're ready to start dating, and the people who are coming up to you are not at all who you're looking for, then we need to adjust the message that you're sending.
I
And
gotcha.
that's the key.
Yeah, so it may not be that your picker's broken. It could just be that you aren't, relaying what it is that you want. So therefore, you're not getting, it's not coming your way. It's like putting out there in the universe what you want so that it starts to come your way, kind of idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know there are people who have gone, and online dating, I think is amazing,
Hmm.
but it's just like walking into any big city.
Hmm.
There are going to be all kinds of people there. And by the way, you do not need to make out with all of them. And you don't need to bring them home, and you don't need to feed them. You don't need to marry them or have children with them or grow old with them. You can choose who you want to invite into your inner circle and who you can just walk right by.
Hmm.
And that's even if they're reaching out to you.
Yeah.
So what I say is it's easier to find a needle in a haystack when you have an idea of what your needle is going to look like,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So then you know who you're looking for. And I've got a 3-step process. It's so easy, but we do it wrong because nobody taught us to do it right. To
Right.
find the right person. And then when you're looking either organically in the wild through your natural life, being set up by friends or your network, or going outside of your network by using the online dating sites, which are totally acceptable practice, but you do need to be safe. You
Oh,
do
yeah.
need to know how to identify people who aren't who they say they are, and make sure you're someone who is who you say you are, right?
Right. Genuine. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
This has been fascinating. We're going to be putting links in the notes when your podcast airs so people can find your website
Awesome.
and your books and so on. And assuming you have room for new clients, you might even get somebody who wants to hear more about how do I hook up with you so we can get this, whatever it might be. So that's exciting. You'll have to keep in touch with me and let me know if you get people to do
I
that.
will. It is so much fun.
I would
And
love to.
I'm coming from the resilience that you and I and your listeners have been through.
Mm.
We need someone who's willing to link arms with us, to go hand in hand and say, I've got you.
Yep.
Let's build the life that you couldn't have even dreamed possible and make it possible.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. Well, it has been fascinating to chat with you. Is there anything else you want to share before we end today?
Well, if somebody would like to reach out and have a conversation with me to talk about either the widowguide.com to download a gifted copy of Life Worth Living, or if you'd like to click on that link there at theartofrelationshipping.com, you can certainly set up time with me and I'm happy to talk you through.
Awesome. That's awesome. Michelle, thank you again for your time today. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me along the journey.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Good Grief. To hear more about my personal story, please pick up a copy of my book, The Day I Became the Spider Killer, a memoir of trauma, tragedy, and survival, available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible via Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and other online book retailers.